Alright guys, this is an introduction for how to paint your car, how much it costs, material wise, what you'll need. And this is sort of like as basic as you can get it for a decent enough job to almost a industry standard. Alright, so when painting a car, you're going to need somewhere to paint it. We've opted for a spray booth. Now, you don't always need a spray booth. We've done a couple of paint jobs in the shed at yours, in K-Lane. Yep. And this time we've opted for a inflatable paint booth. Now, obviously with an inflatable paint booth, there is still, it's not a good paint booth. It is just more so overspray doesn't get everywhere else, because if you're doing it in the garage, you'll need to mask everything up. With this, the overspray is contained. So this booth is from Vavor. It set me back about $1,400. So you don't always need one, but you don't want to be masking up your garage or wherever you're doing it. You don't want to overspray on other cars and whatnot. So this is the next best thing, as opposed to booth hire, if you can find somewhere to paint your car, and that will set you back about $750 each time that you use the booth, and it's usually for about 8 hours. So 3 times I'll get the same amount out of this use, and I'll save the money, and I can use it over and over again and not get overspray on anything. So in this instance, we have opted for using fluorescent lights, LED lights, sorry. Due to the fact that when you're painting metallic, you need to be able to see where you're painting, and it helps when you see the metallic shining. In this workshop, it's very dark, so especially when you put this up and it doesn't have any clear roof. So we've opted for these. These are about off marketplace, about $100. So you're gonna set back around maybe $400, but normally you can find someone that's going out of business and they have heaps of lights left over. You might get them for about $150, $100 if you're lucky. So we've opted for the lights. Also, what you're gonna need is a good compressor. We've had this compressor for 10 years now, I think, and it has served us really well. I think this is about $2,000. This is the Chicago Hush. With that compressor, it's not susceptible as some to moisture. Now, moisture in a paint job or through the airline is a big no-no, because obviously it's water. It doesn't belong inside solvent paint. Yes, there is water-based paints, but that's a complete different thing. So a good compressor that doesn't create water is a massive thing, and something that is going to keep up to what you're doing. So some compressors are too small, they don't have a big enough tank, or the motors aren't big enough to keep up with the air pressure that you're using. So some people will be halfway through a paint job, and in the metallic, it's not good to stop and start, obviously. So a big compressor is a go-go, and a small compressor is a no-no. When painting, you don't need the best of the best paint. For higher quality jobs, you may want to go for a better paint, but then when you want a better paint, you're probably going to want a better painter to paint it. But with this application, we know Oliver's car is going to be in the garage 90% of the time, so it doesn't need the best of the best paint. It's going to live without UV on top of it. So we're going for Valspar stuff as opposed to Devere stuff, as opposed to DNA stuff. So higher end cars will want a higher end paint job, but this doesn't need that. So this stuff is about $2,000. Everything you need to prime, paint, do everything, about $2,000. So that's what I'll set you back. But if you were to go a 2K, which is a solid color, so no metallic or whatever, no pearl, that would be a lot cheaper again. It's a 2-part system where you got your paint and your hardener, mix it together and you can paint, as opposed to your clear over base, which is base coat and clear. Now more into the stuff that I know. So move that shit out of the way, because I'm a panel beater. So obviously Angus also forgot to mention mixing cups for like $1.50 each. You'll need them, definitely. Thinners for gun wash and whatnot, you'll need some of that. And Prep Solve, which is wax and grease remover. More into my domain. So I'm a panel beater, so Bodywork. My car wasn't straight. So you're gonna need sandpapers. So these are orbital disc, which is used with an orbital sander. Now these set you back about $400 for a really good one, I think. I haven't done panel beating in 6-7 years, so that's what they were when I was a panel beater. So that makes it 10 times easier. It's plugged into the air, everyone's seen one. So that makes life easier than hand rubbing. So you've got your block stuff. We use blocks to block stuff down to get the best finish. In this case, probably not the best finish because I'm lazy. Anywho, so this is the speed file stuff. So long strips, breaks off into little squares. Orbital stuff. The blocks, you can buy them from Durablock. Anywhere they sell them. They're a Velcro style, so you don't have to like clamp it in. And then you're going to need some bog. So when you're doing bodywork, sometimes you will need bog if you don't have an easy beat, which we do have an easy beat. So that's like a spot welder that you can slide hammer the dents out. Anyway, if you're going to be lazy like normally I am, you're going to need bog. So some people use quarter glass, a window to mix their bog on. You can get a thing called an onion board. So the little sheets of paper, once you finish with your bog, you can tear it off, happy days. You'll need a set of good applicators and you need to clean them, unlike me. Anywho, so that makes life really easy and you can just throw that out. But it's more so a setup thing. So if you're going to be using thinners to clean all of your products, you're going to go through a lot more thinners. Whereas that, it's really easy. You use a razor blade to scrape all the bog off. So it's all about how you do it and how economical you are as well. So it depends on what bog you use. This is a U-pole. I think it's about 50 bucks a tin. Again, I'm a little bit off on my prices since I haven't been panel beater in a while. Onion boards are probably about 10, 15 bucks. Applicators, 10, 15 bucks, and it comes with a pack that vary in size. There's really thin ones, really thick ones. A box of these I think is about $25 to $50. I can't remember. So when you're panel beating,
variation.
Yeah, there's some. Yeah, anyway. So you can go from 40 grip, 80, 120, 240,
320,
320, 400, and that's about where you stop it anyway. So there's that block kit. Might set you back about 150, 200 bucks, I think. We went through that. Speed file stuff. You can just get the one thing and just use orbital discs, or you can just get the sheets of sandpaper with no Velcro on them, which is a little bit cheaper anyway. So that's what it's going to do. It's what it's going to cost you to do the bodywork on your car. So all up around $6,000 is what it's going to cost you to have a setup like this and paint your car. Obviously you can reuse the booth or sell it on once you're finished. You've got your block, sanders, everything like that. So if you wanted to do another job, you can. You're just going to buy more materials. You may even have materials left over, sandpaper, masking tape, things like that. So $6,000 is what gets you this. So yeah.
Don't forget, guys, this is a rough estimate to get you started. Things will change. The quality of products you buy and what you want will also vary the budget. This is just showing what realistically it'll cost you if you're setting up from scratch. But yeah, again, if you're buying an air compressor, you're going to use it time and time again. And same with the spray booth and your guns and all your tools. So it's just a rough estimate. If you want to get into it and you don't know what it's going to cost you, that's basically what it will cost you. Happy painting, guys.